What's up, guys? Finally getting it today. The Wolfenstein, the New Order review. Didn't think I was gonna have enough time to pick it up and play it fully and beat it and give you guys a great review. Well, I did. So let's start off with it. Story takes place between 1946 and 1960. You start off in 1946 for the first mission. Where you fight your way through a bunch of enemies to a castle. You end up getting trapped, and then you end up surviving by blowing up a room and jumping out. But some metal ends up getting stuck in your skull, and then from there you float in the ocean. A couple people pick you up, take you to an asylum where you spend the next 14 years watching time go by. But after that 14 years, for those 14 years in the asylum, Nazis have been coming in, taking out patients, using them for experiments. Well, one day, at the end of that 14 years, Nazis show up and they say, "We no longer need your services. We're going to kill your patients." Well, the people, the families, but the family that's been taking care of the people in the asylum didn't like that. They fight the way. They're not trying to fight, but they kind of give up a little bit of a fight, I guess you could say, maybe, and end up getting killed, except for the daughter who ends up surviving, and your character has kind of a connection with her because she's been taking care of you for those 14 years. So one day you finally get up out of your chair and you get up and you start killing the Nazis all the way out of the hospital, where you end up saving the girl. Yeah, and then you end up going to her grandparents' house, where you find out the year is 1960, and much to your surprise, you think you've only been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, where you find out you've been there for 14 years. So, you want to go and join up with the U.S. Army, but then you also find out the U.S. has surrendered because the Nazis have won the war. From there, you go to Berlin, where the resistance, well, there's rumored to be a resistance. It's, nobody knows for sure if they're around anymore. You end up going to Berlin, Germany, and you end up breaking into the top prison, getting some of the resistance out, and then you go to the resistance base, and from there you do a lot of different missions. You go to places to pick up a few advanced new helicopters that the Germans have that could really help you on your side, that play out kind of a big part in the game. You have to go and take a Navy space officer's identity, and you have to capture him on the train. There's a fight on the bridge, and then from there you go to the moon, which I thought was pretty cool. And 90 only got to go on the moon, but you actually get to go out on the moon, and when you jump and you float, it's pretty cool. And then from there, you fight your way back, through the enemies, all the way up to the very end to when your team gets captured. Then you pretty much have to go back to the original castle that you were at before in 1946 and fight and get them back and the big boss enemy. Pretty much the story is pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think they did pretty good with it. I've read some other reviews saying about the characters was just, they weren't developed well enough. I felt like the main characters were developed. I have to agree that some characters in the story just did not cut it for me. I feel like they were just thrown in there with a little bit of development just to say, like, oh, hey, we're part of the Resistance too. But the main characters work out great, but other than that, the other side characters were just, I feel like, were thrown in there to just make it seem like there was more people, which didn't really work out well for me. If you're going to develop characters, I would develop them fully, and not just have main characters develop and have little characters on the side that you really don't care about. Other than that, I thought the story was pretty good, and it was kind of cool and neat to see. In 1960, the Nazis took over and they won the war. Throughout basically all the missions, there were pictures of posts or articles from newspapers about famous things that the day when the Nazis won the war. There's a picture when the Beatles are walking across. Well, instead of the Beatles, they have 4 Nazis walking across the road. They do a lot of cool, interesting things, and it's kind of cool to see how they created the story. And to me, this gives them a lot of room to have another 2 to maybe 3 games open up. I mean, you could really do another couple of games off of this storyline. Because when you get to the end, it's not like you beat the Nazis and it's over and the war's over. I mean, the war is, you put a good dent into it, but you're far from over from winning the war. So to me, I feel like they restarted this franchise, and I feel like they have the potential to go ahead and make a couple more games out of this story that they've created. And I love the world. I love seeing how it would be if the Nazis took over the world. It's very interesting, and it's very true and very authentic, I think. Moving on to the weapons. In the beginning of 1946, you have the original, World War II Thompson machine gun. You played in any World War game. You know what I'm talking about. You have a machine gun, pistols, pretty much grenades, But when you move into 1960, you have an advanced assault rifle, which is pretty much just like maybe a mixture of an AK-47 kind of thing going on. For 1960, though, it's interesting. You got a shotgun, which is a lot more big and square and bulkier, which is pretty good. The handguns, kind of the same, but different designs. Work pretty good. They have some weapons in there, like a plasma cutter. Pretty much you can cut through any kind of fencing or boxes. You can also switch it. You hit the D-pad button, I think, and you switch it over into a regular gun. There you can about maybe 2 to 3 shots to an enemy, and they basically just explode. They have an assault rifle, the DMR assault rifle, I think. I'm not sure if that's what it's called. But it's kind of like a regular, it's like an assault rifle except with a scope, so it's kind of more like a sniper rifle. They have attachments onto the other guns. They have a grenade launcher onto the assault rifle. Grenades, when they explode, kind of like a form of electricity kind of around them. I mean, they did some, not too much of an advancement of weapons in 1960, but for the story they were telling, it was alright, definitely pretty cool. I like another thing I like about the game is instead of just carrying 2 weapons around, for instance, say if you carry the assault rifle and the shotgun, okay, but you also want to carry the assault DMR sniper rifle assault gun, whatever you want to call it. You know how you would have to drop one of those, and here you don't. You're able to carry every single gun that you pick up from the assault rifle to handguns and all that. You keep them all. So whenever you're out of ammo for one, you can move on. You got more guns to go through. I definitely like that. It's definitely an old school shooter. Excuse me. Old school shooter by heart. Same thing with health. Your health, it does regenerate, but only if you have armor. If you got armor with you, that kicks off the armor and then it'll regenerate it. But if you don't have any armor, and you start out at 100% with health, your health will go all the way down, and then you have to pick up health packs eventually. And I like that because that's the old school way of a shooter. Not between these games now where if you get shot, your health regenerates. Like I said, if you got armor, your health will regenerate, but you gotta have that armor. If not, then you will pretty much die quickly if you're not smart. For me, I had some missions where I would like to just run out in the middle of enemies and gun and run. You will die pretty much in this game for a few times in each mission. Some missions you can start off in stealth. For missions where you will pick up, when you start off, you will go into a room and you'll pick up a signal detector which pops up. Those are pretty much commanders that have headsets that when they pick up your location or they want to hear firefights going, they will signal for reinforcements. So when you start off in stealth and you see that, I would recommend you try picking those guys off first. It helps out definitely a lot in the game. The stealth was okay. I mean, you get throwing knives too, so you don't have to exactly get behind them. But other than that, I think stealth works out pretty good in the game. I mean, obviously the gun, you know, you can do well on any of the weapons, and obviously that's probably a huge highlight of the game. But I think stealth also, you know, plays a pretty good part in the game, and it does well. So graphics. I haven't noticed much difference from the graphics between Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. I think the graphics are great. I think the graphics are great whether it's on either system. So, you know, and to me, it's not always about the graphics. I mean, for next gen, I think the graphics right now are pretty good. But what I'm more interested in is in a good story and good gameplay. That's what matters most to me. So, but, you know, talking about that, I think the graphics were pretty good. Some of the scenes where the CGI, the cutscenes were actually pretty good. So it's definitely a next-gen game. I don't know what it looks like on last gen for 360 and PlayStation 3. But I'm pretty sure that for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, it's probably the best bet to get them on those if you can. My impression for the game coming up right here and the final score for it. I think this is going to be Shooter of the Year. Or close to it. I mean, I know we still got some good games coming out later this year, but so far this is taking my my Shooter of the Year right here. I'm giving it to Wolfenstein so far. You know, it's just a great game, a great story. You know, they said the campaign's from 15 and 20 hours. I played on normal mode, not on easy, but on normal and not on hard. I played on normal just so that way, you know, that's the most, they say that's the best one to play at if you're kind of an experienced shooter. I just want to get used to the game. Pretty soon I'm going to go back and play on the harder difficulties, which I'm sure if you play on the hardest, it'll probably take you 15, 20, if not, you know, 30, 25 hours. But for the normal, I'd say it probably took me between 12 and 15 hours to beat. So it was a pretty good game. Other than that, the story was awesome. I love most of the characters. I'm looking forward to see what they do with the franchise. I'm hoping they make a sequel to this, or they at least continue off the storyline. Maybe open up a new character, because the ending does leave an opening. Not much. It's not like a huge cliffhanger, but it is open for a sequel, and you know, they might surprise us and do something here, but I'm hoping they continue this franchise now. I think Wolfenstein's got this new blood pumped into it, and it's great, and I think, you know, they can definitely do some great things with this franchise now. So, my final review, my score for this game is an 8 out of 10, which is awesome and great. I would recommend you guys go pick it up. Whether you have Xbox One, PlayStation 4, or PC, go pick it up. If you're an old school shooter and you love shooters, I'm telling you, just go pick it up. You will enjoy it and you will love it, alright? Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you already got the game. Let me know what you think of it. Maybe what your score is and what you would give the game. You know, and hopefully we'll see you guys pretty soon in the next